Hey, it's Richard again. Welcome back to the channel and thanks again for joining me. On the last video, I talked about a lesson from Jim Collins' book, Good to Great. Good to Great is a book that I read probably for the first time about 15 years ago or something like that. I say read, it's actually on my copy is here on a 5 CD boxed set in the way that we used to get that kind of media before Audible and all that kind of thing. I have listened to that book 3, 4, maybe 5 times in the course of my life, and I'm going back through it again. At its time, as I said, it was written early 2000s, so it's a little bit dated in some of the examples now, but it is an excellent book because it's an empirical study in what it is to take an organization and launch it on a trajectory of transformational growth. And I talked last time about the Stockdale paradox, one of the core lessons from it. Another point from the Good to Great study, and one of the great things about the study is the way that Jim Collins and his team analysed things and found that actually some of the ways we assumed were the right way to grow and to develop organisations and to build enduring organisations were in fact wrong. And the evidence of the companies they found that had achieved stratospheric growth were quite different to the norms that we assumed. One of the lessons is that of what they called the level 5 leader. The level 5 leader is a particular kind of leader, and Jim Collins and his team found that all of their organizations in the study that had this incredible growth and success over a sustained period had a leader that fitted the category of what they could only describe as a level 5 leader. Typically, we think of successful business leaders as that kind of savior CEO, that larger than life character with a big ego that comes in like a whirlwind and transforms an organization, and it's them that did it and they get the plaudits, these celebrity type business people. Now, it's not to say that that can't achieve a measure of success. It often can, as far as an immediate change in the way that an organization performs, but not for a long-lasting change, because very often what happens is as soon as those large characters leave an organization, because so much of what they did was all about themselves, those changes then are lost and people drift into different ways of working, or the company goes back to how it used to be. Level 5 leader is different. The level 5 leader is much more humble. And for the level 5 leader, it is not necessarily about themselves. In fact, it's not about themselves and their own success and their own aggrandizement. It's all about the success of the organization. So they're very humble leaders, and that's quite a paradox in the way that we're taught that leadership should be. Leaders should be big and confident and have a big ego. But actually, the more humble leaders, the leaders who weren't afraid to say, "I don't know," were the ones that had more success. Now, that doesn't mean that these people weren't focused. They absolutely were focused on the success of the organization, almost to an obsessive degree in some parts, in some examples. But it was always about the success of the organization and not the success of themselves. And that's a very different kind of leader. And I have to say, in a career now of working with many, many different companies and working for many different organizations, level 5 leadership is genuinely very rare. But when you come across it, genuinely very special. You will know these people when you meet them. They will seem very different. They will seem like, why is that person the leader of the organization? But then you realize everything they do is for the success of the team, and they are totally focused on the objective of the team and not their own success. Level 5 leadership, it's a brilliant lesson. It's something that is to a degree achievable for us all, and there are certain things that were common amongst the level 5 leaders. Number one, it's about seeking feedback and being unafraid to receive feedback from your team. People with a big ego don't like feedback. They don't want to hear that they're doing it wrong because their ego can't handle it because they think they're doing it right. A true level 5 leader wants feedback from their team and their peers and their seniors because that is what helps them to improve. It's that open-mindedness to improving. And that leads us on to the second point, which is about being a lifelong learner. Lifelong learners are leaders. That desire to never stop learning, that realization that you don't know everything, that there's always something to learn, and a thirst for new knowledge and a willingness to learn from unusual sources, not just people in your sector or in your industry or even in industry, but from anyone, from looking at who are the best in the world at doing this particular thing that I'm struggling with, and reading about them and going and meeting those people and learning from them. That humility and willingness to learn is what leads us on the path to level 5 leadership. And finally, and I've mentioned it before, for a level 5 leadership, it is all about the organisation. Everything you do is focused on that organisation's success. It's why level 5 leaders are so keen to have a mission and a vision for their organisation, because it's setting a direction and saying, this is about us, this is about the team, this is about where we're going. So I definitely recommend the book to you. I'm going to pull some more lessons out of it, because it's honestly the book that when I read it was what set me off on this path of thinking, wow, organisational strategy, people development and teamwork, that's really interesting. And that's now the work that I do myself. And this was really my introduction to it. So I couldn't recommend a better book on the subject, though there are many other books on the subject. It is truly excellent. I recommend that you read it or listen to it, but I'll be pulling out some more lessons in forthcoming videos. But level 5 leadership, it's rare, but it's definitely something to aspire to. And even if you never quite get there, or even if it takes you time to get there, just the intention, just the aspiration, and just starting to take the right steps is what will set you apart from other business leaders. As ever, I hope you found that useful. Do check out the website. Do please subscribe to the channel if these videos are useful to them. I put them here for you to use. Thanks once again for joining me. I'll see you next time. And in the meantime, have a great weekend. Cheers.